Hello and welcome. Here we are again, the Marianne and Corinna show on Tuesday mornings, Conversations with the Earth. And we have a really interesting topic today. Uh, what if we refuse any kind of movement by sticking to our decisions, which is so
Hmm.
important? And Marianne is taking it off today.
Thank you, Karina, and hi again. How much fun can we have now with our conversation? I wonder. So, yes. As we spoke, as we do every week, we have our conversation on the Monday evenings or mornings, whatever that serves. And I mentioned that there was some new movement in my reality coming from really even more being present with earth and my body, already knowing that we are so far more than our bodies, and every day getting it more and more and more, as getting it as living it. It's that's also the movement we go through, as sometimes we are sticking, even if we believe we let it go already. I noticed how much there is sticking still, hanging on, holding on, definitions in a way, as becoming clear last week. Even every day I am making myself, it's something I do now. I be now, it's not a doing, it's something that I'm choosing to be, is taking that time, that space to be really present with the space we truly are, as though, there is so much more than our body. It's some of my wishes, also my demands, to to be more in communion with earth, body, universe, if you say. So this spherical movement, I'm going to call it a movement, is more available. And it is so notable that there is so much more ease if we choose it, of course, because there is a lot of havoc also, and there is a lot going on. Still, we are so much more than that. And how much is what is going on, holding on, thoughts, feelings, emotions, definitions, structure,
Mhm.
form, everything of that. As what I noticed is, oh, but how often I thought I did choose something, but in truth, was it still an idea, a fixed idea, a definition I had, something I somehow defined still, how it could look like, would have looked like, could appear, has to appear, all those things. And now more being space and choosing be with everything of that, the true movement of the energy we are and everything is so much more available now.
Mm.
How do you experience, because you are literally moving your ass every day somewhere else? And now also, how, for example, you started, I believe, in July. You started your trip in July, or yes, I
The
believe it
very
was
end
in
of June, yes.
the very end of June already, as though, it looks weird. It's 3 months, but it looks like a year and more that you
It feels
that you
like.
are traveling, as the changes in what is available for us is so palpable. How do you experience that while you are literally move every day?
It's really interesting. On the initially, uh, I just pushed the movement. I had the concept, the idea,
Yeah.
the decision that I made. I was going to drive 50 across the US. And so I drove every day and I pushed it. Then I started to relax a bit more and allow myself to be several days in one place, or played by ear, so to speak. Is there something? Oh, there's something really interesting in that area. I'm going to stay an extra night.
Mm,
Stuff like that. And there was definitely the a period where it was not easy on me to be in a different place, to be in a different bed every single night, or most every
yeah.
single night.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I relaxed into that again, and it's actually absolutely okay now. And there was a period where I've been wondering, am I locking things down by looking for a quote unquote permanent place, uh,
Mm.
where I'd be living at least a year, doing trips from there, but nothing, like I did this time. And right now, I'm in a space where I'm actually looking forward to, because, yeah, why am I looking forward to? It feels like how I made the decision that I can create more if I'm in the same space, because I'm losing things. Getting, I had a hard driving day, so I'm going to bed early. But I wanted to do ABC that night, and I totally forget about it. So what is possible there, as allowing that movement of desiring to create and have that creation going on, and not constantly moving. So right now I'm in an interesting space, looking forward on the one hand, and dreading it on the other hand. So
Yes, and there catches me something in the energy when you were saying that moving ahead, that and the movement, as though that is also what I before had seen as moving forward, the movement, as though I make a choice. If it is a decision or whatever, it doesn't matter at that moment. Let us say I make a choice, and because I'm not really aware that it is still connected with point of views, with expectations, sometimes with form,
mhm.
structure, whatever, and I act on it. I act on my choice, so I move forward. Still, what I notice now really clear is that movement. Is that a true movement? It is a movement because we are moving something, but it is still a linear movement as going forward. As the true movement, is it 360 degrees, as it can go everywhere, as
Yeah.
This morning it showed me something. My body is as a sudden, it was telling me that it would love have changes as the place, literally the place where it will sit down, creating due to the laptop or whatever. The space is completely different, as though the place and the space, how for how many, yeah, years, billion trillions years, do we collapse those two words together
Into
as
one. Yeah.
place is space and space is place, where it isn't, as you mentioned with the decision, choice, decisions, choice. How much do we also make that as one, as the same thing? That in truth, as for me, it is clear, going with the energy, that is the choice in every second, is following that energy. And there is the movement. There is the movement. As this morning, as a sudden, my body shows me, check, 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 all the information, how to go with it. And I was so happy. It really, it put my body on, my being on, and it was, yes. And when I was going with that, and it's, yeah, following what I knew my body was asking for, I could notice at the same time that my head was saying, yeah, but you have to go and make the invoices, and you have to do this, and you have to do this. Because I was choosing space, it was flying by, and I could respond even to that thought as, yeah, I know, and we will go there. Allowing myself being with that movement created so much more space, literally also space in my body, space in my home, in my living room, space. So
Mhm.
what is place, what is space, what is choice, what is decision? It's an interesting adventure to discover and going with for me now. Yeah, and be brutally honest with myself, how much I still control with decisions, with form, structure,
Yeah.
all those things.
And it's so easy.
Yeah,
And it's so easy because we're so used to it. And I am grateful for you sharing what you just shared with rearranging, because uh, I eventually, once I have a place where I will settle down, at least for the time being, and bring all my stuff here, um, it's I'll tend to look at a room and I say, okay, this furniture piece makes sense here and that one there. And I basically, all mentally, and what if, and then it's rare that I change it because it makes the most sense. I mean, why?
yeah,
so,
yeah,
so to really keep that in mind, to okay, yeah, that is one option. What other possibilities do exist?
yeah,
And how would it flow if I do that? And yeah, there is one thing that has always been important for me. I want to be able to sit, especially in a living room, in a space where I can look outside. I don't like sitting where I look
yeah,
at a wall. I need to
yeah,
have a window, in front of me, even if it's across the room. That's fine.
Yeah, yeah,
But that is one requirement that I just have, and that is not necessarily a logical, rational, cognitive thing. It's more something that I just know is important for me.
yeah. And I hear you because logically, of the mind, I have a spare room, a little one, where I could work, create with ease, that the mind would set, there you have more space, which in truth is not. It is. And I was in question with my body and I noticed it was contracting, and it is also of what you mentioned there, the vision, it is more like wall, wall, wall. And there is not any contact directly with the air, the light
Mhm.
outside. So that is something that I notice. It's not from the mind, it is knowing that it is a contribution for the body, for the relaxation
Yeah.
also. So yeah, so when my body showed me and came up for in my living room to rearrange, which I don't have a really big living room, so the mind would say, are you insane? Are you gonna put a table in there, more in there? And I didn't went there. It was really okay, buddy. You know. And also by being space, everything is more space. As we allow, what I notice now is I allow even the furniture, I allow the furniture also to be spacey.
Hmm.
Spacey, space, yeah, it is. And even I put something more in a small place, there is a lot more space. And I started
Hmm.
here half an hour before we came live, and I notice already how, yeah, the contribution it is for my body now, sitting here, working here. Ah, that. And as yeah, how many things are so normal for us that we aren't aware of the whispers body tells us, whispers the air in our room tells us, the whispers plants tells us. That's not a way we really are used to live with and through. So yes.
Yeah. That is so true. I mean, I currently I'm in the Los Angeles area, and I will be heading to Montrose to
Mhm.
start looking for uh, a rental place, because Montrose is this place where I would like to settle down for the time being.
Yeah.
And it really, again, uh, I mean, technically, if I cognitively look at it, I should be able to live any place.
Yeah.
But there is something that feels like energetically that I perceive as home.
Mhm.
There is that, when I came from Europe to the US and then was flying back home, there was sort of like a landing feeling. Okay, I'm back home, you know? And it's almost like that feeling that I was having driving from wherever I was coming from, driving into Montrose.
Mm.
There was this
Yeah.
settling, this landing sensation. And
Can I ask you something?
yeah,
I hear you say that landing. And there is something you make the movement literally with your body also, and your body is happy. So you acknowledge that that landing. But is it landing or is it that relaxation where you spoke about before? And I notice now also that is that where we allow ourselves to acknowledge that there is space, there is a relaxation and there is space, as though we can breathe with more ease, we can
It's
be with more ease.
it's the relaxation.
Yeah, yeah,
And but to continue with, because I wanted to address your whispers, so I basically looked up how long do I drive. I've driven longer, I can do that. And there was this whisper, just for a fraction of a moment, do it in 2 days. And I chose to ignore it. So
that's the
to me,
cuteness.
it's been and uh, it's something that is sort of like a red thread through those 3 months, is to learn to detect those whispers
Yeah,
and to pay attention to them and to honor them and see how what they're asking me to do,
yeah,
and to trust that that is actually the ease, the choice that brings ease. It's not
yeah,
the easier choice, but it's the choice that brings ease, and it's a really interesting space for me to be with that and to learn,
yeah.
because it's
And
truly is calling it a whisper is so correct. It
yeah,
is that faint little thing that just pst, and it's gone, you
and
know.
it's gone. And it's beautiful that you mention it also. It's that is where the ease is, if we
Yeah,
allow that, those whispers, because we we believe so much that when we know everything, when we dictate everything, when we have it clear, everything is ease. That's the thought, that's the belief we have. But there is so much contraction in it, so much limitation also in it,
yeah,
that we shut out the majority of the possibilities. We shut out the ease, the joy, the glory.
hmm,
And it is not really the most easy way to go, choosing consciousness, choosing be present, choosing, yeah, to be with every energy. And at the same time, it is ease, it is joy, it is glory. And the more you allow yourself, for me, it works like that. The more I allow myself to be with every whisper, it's not always that I'm acting on it, or it's not always that I'm receiving it. That's still not the same. But more and more and more, as you noticed it, there was a whisper telling you and you ignored it. And how much more ease did you already have to acknowledge that?
yeah.
Even you didn't act on that moment, but there is so much more ease afterwards also to say, oh, there was
Next
that
time,
whisper.
next
Yeah,
time, I'll pay attention to it.
yeah,
And how much is it truly, you know, since this is not something we have grown up with.
no,
Nobody talked to us about listen to the whispers. Is make your decision and think it through and then make your decision.
yeah.
You know,
And the
have
right
all your
decision.
boxes checked. This is pro, this is con, which are more, and then I'll make my decision based on that. And even making a decision based on, like with that drive, I have driven 14 hours. I have driven through 24 hours, just stopping for snoozes in rest areas. But is that ease or is that pushing it?
That, yeah. And as we go also with decisions, it is something I chose more or less 2 years ago to really be present with myself when I'm using, even speaking it out loud, the word decision, to become present with it. And then asking a question: do I really decide this or can I choose it?
Yeah,
And that changed, was a really big shift for me to start to become more present with the whispers. And there it started that even asking that question, am I deciding this or can I choose this? It's not saying that it is wrong. It's not saying that it is right, but it was more opening myself up for what is it? Is it truly choosing? Is it deciding? Is it deciding? Can I choose it? What would change if I don't decide it, but I choose it? What does that do in the energy?
yeah,
And also there is so much shifting and changing, and that movement becomes more clear. As with decision, as I started to say, yes, we decide things, but still loaded with so many things and point of views, that the movement is still a limited movement and merely a one direction movement, as though with choice in itself is open for movement and change in every second. It doesn't
yeah,
stop us as decision does stop us. Have you
yeah.
experienced for yourself with that, those two energies of decision and choice?
The one, the, probably the biggest, as I said, decision for me is going through what are the pros and what are the cons, making that list, so to speak, and wherever there is more of, that is what I'm deciding
Yeah,
for. And the difference with choice is and is that with choice it's truly just do I do this? Yes, no. Okay, yes, feels lighter, or no, feels lighter,
yeah,
and then I make that choice.
yeah,
And A, it is more fun. B, it really requires me to stop judging myself because I made the wrong decision.
yeah, yeah. But
There is
that's,
no right or wrong with choice. There is
yeah.
just choice, and yeah, I
And
think it's
also
more
that
indifferent.
is, Karina, that you mentioned is choice, is that yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. That is it. It is. Choice
Yeah,
is ease. But
there,
because we put it together as the same thing as decision often, there the heaviness is coming in, the contraction is coming in,
yeah,
and also that is becoming more clear with ease, again with ease, knowing, am I deciding, am I choosing? Because when it is choice, it is ease, it's quick, it isn't relevant, it isn't important, because there is a knowing. Within a second I can choose something else.
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's so interesting. I still remember the first time I practiced choice, from having no point of view, just going yes, no. And I was in Yellowstone, and the forecast was for snow on the next day. And I was watching the buffalo, and they were heading from one place to another. And so there was this part of me that says, what do they know?
Mm.
Are they going into a more protected, safer space to be less impacted by coming snow? And there was also that part of me, God, it would be so nice to experience snow again in Yellowstone. And if it snows, I'll have to go around the north side or the south side, depending on, because the pass in the east that usually take will be closed. And so I just stood there and said, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes. And I left. And it was such a gorgeous drive with the light, the sunlight. It's hard to describe. It was just so joyous and gorgeous that, yeah.
And what a contribution, definitely, it was for you as photographer. The shots you could make now by going with that yes. I'm curious how different they came out as, yeah, you never
I
could.
I didn't take any shots, but uh,
Oh,
let's put it that way. I There are shots that I take by using my camera, but there's always shots that I take by just using my eyes and remembering them. And
yeah,
there are shots from 15 years ago that I vividly still remember. I just
yeah,
need to think of it and I can see the whole thing because the shot is
yeah,
there, you
yeah.
know. So
Do you
it's,
know what this brings for me now is as being present with the energy, as you mentioned, that shot you take with your eyes is that in that second or 10 seconds so present with the energy that you become it. And as we are infinite energy, everything is energy. It's some thought that comes in now. Is it a thought? Is it awareness? Whatever it is, but there is something now triggering me as I notice I have in a similar way, even I don't really like pictures. Not taking pictures, not being taken pictures from, but I have so many pictures that I took with my eyes that I vividly, as you mention it, also can be with again as being
mhm,
there at that moment. So it is something that triggers me now to be present with, also as though we know that time as past, future, and the now not really exist. It's all at the same
yeah,
time in the same space. And is this something that, yeah, refers to that, becoming more present with it, as though, yeah, how is it possible that you can take a picture with your eyes and then speaking about vividly as I am there? For a
mhm,
mind, it doesn't make sense. Nevertheless, for me, it makes all sense as I experience also similar, yeah,
yeah.
similar things.
And we
Wow.
can, and I think you really mentioned the important word, being present
Yeah.
at that point in time with that place with that space with what is. And uh, you know, on the other hand, having photographed for many, many, many years, I sometimes see something and then say, have a better picture. Because I remember even the pictures, the photos that I have taken, the physical photos, and where either the lighting is better or whatever it is better, it's more appealing to me. And there is photos that I take, um, sort of to denote the changes in nature.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I was on the drive towards my daughter. I checked out, for instance, a place at Mono Lake where I have taken pictures, and as a sudden, those structures seem to be a lot smaller. And I don't think that they shrunk as a structure. But I remembered that when I was taking that, there was the conversation for environmental reasons that Los Angeles is not supposed to be taking that much water out of that lake,
Mm.
diverting. And so oh, did that go through? Because once I left California, I didn't follow those things anymore,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And is more of it underwater now, and that's why they are smaller.
yeah,
So originally, all of it was underwater, and that's how they got created,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
So it's really and doing that, and then another in another space, I said, "Damn it! I could take that photo with all of that visible, and now the trees are in the way." Yeah, 15 years of tree growth does
yeah. It is.
take
It
some
is.
view away.
Yeah,
I've experienced that in other places,
yeah,
in Yellowstone after the fires in 89. 30 20 years later, I couldn't see anymore what I used to see when the trees were only yay high,
yeah.
you
And do you
know.
know what I really get again? It's I was in the question while listening to you also for myself, but yeah, but what is it truly? What makes that I am not I love watching the pictures, the photos. And I love it
Mhm.
to watch beautiful scenes. And at the same time, I am not into photos as
Yeah.
though, as I mentioned so often, that a, a photo is often, a picture is often, it's that moment and then it's
It's the
stuck
energy
in.
in that moment. I call it, it's taking a portrait of the earth at that place in that moment.
Yes, because it is always moving, always moving, always moving.
Mhm.
And what I noticed for myself in those minutes ago was sitting again with that, being present with the energy and taking that picture with your eyes, even years later, remembering it and being it again vividly, is that being in this moment then in a different way with that energy, not the same as what taken at that time, but also allowing ourselves going with everything that is changed. And we think perhaps that we see it in the same way, but when it's vivid, is it that we are going with the movement and being with that energy again?
Good question. Yeah. Not
Yeah,
that
there
I
was
have an
something that was
answer,
going on.
but it definitely is a good question.
And sometimes I'm really taking it in a weird way, as though, oh, where does that come from? But when there is something catching me, I'm always curious, and
Yeah.
that's also ease for me. That curiosity, that is that choosing energy. Also, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. That is also that curiosity, and for me, curiosity, as though I was made so often wrong for it, because it's not the same curiosity as we know from this reality. I'm not the one that will ask and ask and ask and tell me, and I want to know everything. It's not that type of
No,
curiosity, of gossip curiosity.
it's
It is it's another. Yeah,
it's the curiosity of what is around the curve.
yeah, yeah. But is there more? Is
Yeah,
there more to explore? What is there more to receive also? Yeah.
that goes hand in hand. Yes.
And isn't that movement? That
Yep.
is that movement.
Yep.
Yeah. Beautiful. So yeah, for sure, Karina, this conversation will go on with me and move and move and move. And yeah, then we will see what we will come up with next week, as we do.
As we do, and that conversation has brought up some stuff for me that I'm curious about now.
Yeah.
And for me, the curiosity is not, oh, now I have to sit down and be with it and explore it and analyze it to death. No, it's more, I'm parking it, as I jokingly say, on the back burner and let it percolate. And what comes out of it? What happens with it? Where does it where does it get triggered? Where do I get put back into that space to say, oh, that is, and
Yeah,
that's
and
where
then
the
it can
fun
happen
is.
and then it can happen that weeks, months later, there
Yeah,
is something up that, because of you were all the time present with it. In a way, it's not present, as you say, sitting down and being it's there, it's brewing, it's moving, it is. And then in a split second, oh, I
yeah,
was really in question, I was really curious about this and this and this. Yes. And that is the joy also for me. That is also the joy and the
that's the
glorious
fun.
and the
Yeah,
fun.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. I hope that
Thank you.
those who will watch or were present, that, yeah, perhaps they are parking something in their awareness also and going along with the curiosity about that.
Yeah.
Who never knows?
What does it spark?
Yes.
Okay. Thank
Bye bye,
you.